So, same step. Now we can go and select the curtain wall, which is default, by the way. We don't want the default, we want the where is it? Lap curtain wall. Lap curtain wall. We don't want to change the default, we want to change the lap curtain wall. If we go to the lap curtain wall, edit type, now we can say here, we don't want to say to have vertical grids because we have placed them manually, so we'll leave all this intact, but we do want to say like vertical mullions. For example, interior type, let's have a 1.5 by 2.5, for example, and the borders could be a little bit thicker, let's say 2.5 by 5, 2.5 by 5. And now interior type for horizontals could be 1.5 and 2.5, and the same 2.5 by 5 inches. Now, because it's a complex geometry, it could give you some like message of be careful. Some of these angles are not that accurate, but you just say okay. So we got it. Obviously, we want to somehow enter those plans and change a little bit these partitions so they don't meet the curtain wall. So sometimes we're going to just have to change this a bit. Now, we don't want these panels to be glass. We want to go through them by tabbing, selecting, and changing the panel. You have a solid panel and a solid red we did last time. I'm going to say solid and edit type, so we create our own. Let's say solid lab building 1. And we can change the finish material here. I'm going to say, for example, what do you want?
Dark glass.
A dark glass. Yeah, you can just say, for example, create a new material. Right click, rename, and call it a lab panel 1. And what I normally do is use render appearance and go to appearance and change a couple of ingredients. This will be the window to change if you want to make renderings on your own with your own criteria. So I'm going to say let's keep it at a blue color, for example, dark. I want to leave this as non-metallics. I want to have some reflectivity. So this is the preview, which is quite good, I think. And you can have transparency, but very little. So you can see a little bit through on a weird day, but not too much. And you keep it as refraction as glass. Good. You can say OK. Changes that to the material, and automatically that panel becomes the glass. Now, it's a little tricky to go one by one tabbing and changing to the new panel. So you can actually select one of the panels and come here, unhide category. It hides all the mullions and the different parts, and you can select a little bit faster for where you have panels. So we know that right next to the grids we should have a panel, otherwise we will see what's behind. It could be that one of the rooms is entire, so you don't want a panel, and you have a more interesting rhythm of one type of glass and another one. Takes a little patience to select, but just do it. To deselect, shift, as you know. I'm going to do only this, but in this side will be exactly the same. You will just select the panels. and you change them to the ones you want. If you want to select that, you probably want to tab. Okay, still missing a couple. Now what I was thinking is you could place another series of mullions and grids and change some of the colors so it's a little more lively. For example, these two, and another one here, I don't know, this one. Could be that you edit the type, you duplicate it, and you just have it as lab 2. And in the materials you create another one, and you call it create, right click, rename, lab panel 2, use appear, and then we can give it a red or whatever. No. Please don't use these colors, are horrible. Transparency. There are other features that I'm not going to explain, but you can do a bump and a cutout, etc. Similar to many other programs. Okay. Okay, and they're red now, not that one. Okay, so obviously I'm not going to do all these guys, but you should know by now that it's just a matter of selecting and changing the panel type. Okay, so I'm going to resect, and there you have it. Now it's a matter of doing a little mirror of this facade to the other side and a mirror of this other facade once it's done. No? So I probably recommend doing this from the top view. We need to create a couple lines, so DL for detail lines. I'm going to just draw the center axis so I can use it afterwards. Now I recommend selecting and making sure that it says curtain wall lab, and control and check the filters to make sure that you only have walls here. And you do the mirror, which is the MM. You can select this one with the copy press, so it creates the same elements here. I mean, we should probably go back. No, what it would be smart is to place the windows before we do the mirrors, so we don't have to place them 2 times, obviously. So windows, this is also a unique way of placing rebuilds and grids into the precast curtain wall panels, because you can place windows in the middle. Let's actually place the fixed ones and the big ones. You can place windows and they interrupt the ceiling, the rebuilds, with no problem. That means that this panel has this shape, and the area is computed now automatically, no matter what window you have. So this is also a tremendous advantage versus other options. You cannot have a rebuild and embed a window at the same time. Now be careful, if you place a window sometimes in this rebuild, in vertical rebuilds, it cuts one of the, where is it? We lost it? No. It cuts one of the walls but not the other one. So if you want to do that, always place it in the middle and then move it. So you say window, place it there, oops. And second time. There you go. And now you can just move it up. Now I think this is a great opportunity to come back to this facade, which is pretty much a precast concrete panel. As you can see, you have only this type and this other type, so they're repeated. They probably have like 4, 5 to 10 panels, and it's just repeated so that you have an harmonic, quite musical rhythm. No, of course I don't have the time to create that level of seriousness, but essentially would be to go to the elevations and place whatever windows you want, duplicate them, and place them inside. No, so because I'm getting a little more like in a hurry here, Just gonna place some windows. I'm gonna place these windows too, small. And this one, for example. I placed one inside, so be careful. Okay, you should do the same with this other facade. Now let's do the mirror, and as I tried to do it before. You don't have to select the windows because they go with the walls, so you just have to select the curtain walls, basically. Control the other one, filter, make sure you have only walls, and again mirror. You select the axis that we drew before. Make sure it's copy, and now it's gonna come right in front here. Now before doing anything, I'm gonna do another mirror, but not copy, with this axis. So basically I'm flipping it in this orientation. No? Now because it takes time, conflict join wall. We're gonna do it here actually. It takes time, so just because it has to do all the windows in a different place, etc. No? So window. I'm selecting both types, walls, mirror. Make sure it's copy. This is the axis, so it goes to this other side. It's selected, no copy this axis. No? So let's see how it looks. We didn't finish that one, so obviously, but that will match perfectly with this other one because they're the same. And we obviously need to edit the profile here of the curtain wall. Make sure it's that one, edit profile. You can select these guys, trim, so you don't have that opening. You can place a couple windows there or anything you like. Okay, essentially that's the end of this story.